Long before the term serial killer existed, before H. Holmes terrorized the United States or Jack the Ripper haunted the streets of London, one of the earliest documented cases was quietly unfolding in the Philippines. This is the story of the killer priest, Father Juan Severino Mallari. Born on September 22, 1785 in San Nicolas, Pampanga, a town now known as Macabebe, Juan Severino Mallari grew up under the shadow of Spanish colonial rule. Growing up in a devout Catholic family, Father Mallari lived in a world dominated by Spanish friars, whose reach extended far beyond the church into every corner of his daily life. Mallari's education began in the local parish schools where discipline was paramount. He was schooled in religion and the ways of Catholic life as dictated by the friars, while Latin and basic literacy prepared him and his classmates for the responsibilities that lay ahead. At the age of 15, Mallari studied theology and philosophy at the University of Santo Tomas. And at that time, the university was only one of the few institutions who would accept Filipinos for advanced studies under the guidance of Spanish friars. And after that, his hard work paid off as he completed his studies and became a priest in 1809. He then later served as a coadjutor in Gapan, Lubao, and Bacolor. Now this was no easy feat as Filipino priests were rare at that time. Mallari also had a creative side. He taught himself calligraphy, often decorating documents with vines, angelic figures, and other motifs, earning him praise for his creativity, piety, and the recognition of being the second Filipino calligraphic priest after Father Mariano Hipolito. Mallari's ambition had no limits as he tried to become a parish priest in Orani, Mariveles, and Lubao, but no luck. He was rejected in all three areas. He also tried to become a sacristan in the port of Cavite, but unfortunately was also rejected. However, in 1813, he was finally assigned as a parish priest to San Bartolome Church in Magalang, Pampanga, something he had dreamed of becoming. Most of the people he served were farmers, along with members of nearby Aito communities, whose daily lives revolved around the land and seasonal work. At that time, it was unusual for a Filipino to hold such a position, as most parishes were still run by Spanish friars. Mallari's appointment placed him among a small number of native priests within the colonial church. At first, Mallari was well respected in the community. He was seen as educated, deeply religious, and unusually talented for a native priest in a time when most clergy were foreign. He gave alms to the poor, helped those in need, and taught children and other Aite families basic literacy and Catholic beliefs. And over time, this closeness made him a trusted and familiar presence, someone welcomed into homes, relied upon for guidance, and rarely questioned. However, around 1816, Father Mallari learned that his mother had fallen seriously ill. In his desperation to save her, something in him began to unravel. His thinking slowly took a darker turn as his faith became entangled with local superstition. Mallari came to believe that his mother had been cursed by a local witch, or a mangkukulam, and that the only way to save her was through offerings that would soon take a horrifying form. In the years that followed, Mallari began performing what he called offerings, and these offerings were women and children, the very people who had trusted him, who came to him seeking guidance or confession. Now, how he did it remains unclear, and colonial records from the time are scarce, so names, ages, and the details were never documented. Some later accounts stated that Mallari used a knife, but nothing was officially recorded. What's definitely certain, though, is the terrifying way he used his position as a priest to lure these innocent people. Those who came to him for comfort became victims of his twisted rituals. And unfortunately, his killing spree continued for 10 more years. In 1826, Father Mallari became sick and needed care by fellow priests and community members. And from that point, they discovered blood-stained items and personal belongings of the missing people. This prompted an official investigation. The local police, or Guardia Civil, conducted a search of the church grounds and surrounding areas. They located multiple unmarked graves scattered around the area, linking it to the parish that Father Mallari was under. He was then later arrested and interrogated that same year by Augustinian friars and officials in Manila. He admitted to killing 57 people, mostly women and children, and he was held in custody for 14 years while authorities reviewed his case. Mallari then faced charges on multiple counts of murder and desecration of corpses. These offenses were treated as both criminal violations and religious transgressions given his status as a priest. With this, he was the first Filipino priest to be given the death penalty. Father Juan Severino Mallari was executed in 1840, and his body was buried in an unmarked grave, the same way he buried his victims. In the end, Father Mallari's story is a sorrowful one. A man who loved his mother so deeply became the source of his own destruction and the lives of so many others along the way. It's a reminder that desperation, fear, and obsession can twist even the kindest intentions into something unthinkable, leaving behind a trail of grief that lasts long after the person is gone.